Stop the bleeding, snap the losing streak, get a much-needed W. Why this win versus Tennessee Titans was so important to the Silver and Black. That plus more on Monday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for October 13th, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you. If you're catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page, you know we appreciate both. Show grows each and every day because of your consistent support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good each and every day by way of the YouTube page. So shout out to Ari. Appreciate him. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line for you, 707-654-4693. We will hear from you, your calls and texts, closing out the show. Segment number 3, as we normally do. We'll definitely do it again today. Also, segment number 2, we'll give out game balls. It's only the second time this season that we've had an opportunity to give out game balls. Only the second time that the Raiders came away with the victory, but they did get the 20-10 win over the Tennessee Titans. So we'll hand out a couple game balls coming up in segment number 2 and take you inside the Raiders locker room as well. Here in segment number 1, news and notes of the day, and really just kind of a game flow, how the Raiders ended up with the victory 20-10 over the Tennessee Titans. We'll jump into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is Mazda. Like the players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. So off top, the Raiders do get the win, 20-10 over the Tennessee Titans. They improved their overall record to 2-4 on the season, snapped the 4-game losing streak that they had. Stop the bleeding, something I've been talking about for the last few weeks. They got to find a way to stop the bleeding. Well, they did, and that's good, right? And it's funny, man, when I start thinking about the watching the game and how it all unfolded and how the Raiders got the victory, and really it was led by the defense. And it's funny, special teams has been such a Achilles heel, but the special teams was good, but the defense was really strong against Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. He was sacked 6 times, fumbled twice, threw an interception. Max had 2, Jonah Laulu had 1, Leki Fotu had 1, Devin White had 1. He caused the fumble as well, giving the Raiders the ball on the 2-yard line. Thomas Booker got 1. Just really good overall performance by the defense in a game where the defense was needed, because the offense was stinking it up. The offense did not look good. There was just no rhyme or reason to the offense whatsoever. I was sitting in the press box getting frustrated by some of the play calling, some of the execution of the plays. I mean, even when they get the ball first and goal from the 2-yard line after Devin White caused the fumble, then they decide that they're going to throw a pass. They're going to do play action pass, and they're going to try to hit Alex Kappa, the right guard, in the end zone. Like, what are you doing? I stood up in the press box after that play. I turned and I looked at Amber Theo-Harris, and I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. I just gave her that look where it's one of those looks, and if you're watching YouTube, I'll do it right now. And what that means is, what was that? What in the world was that? You know when you used to get in trouble when you were a kid and your mom or your dad looked at you and they didn't have to say nothing? You're like, oh, man, I know I'm in trouble. That's what that look was. There's just no, I'm like, what are you trying to be too cute for? Right? You've got a, first and goal at the 2-yard line. Give the ball to Genty. Give the ball to Mostert. Do what you got to do. Just punch it in the end zone. You don't have to get cute. But they did try to get cute. So it was really frustrating watching this Raiders offense. Again, so I go back and say how much the defense was needed in a major way. Right? Even the interception that Devin White had right before halftime was right before halftime. It looked like the Titans were going to go down and at least get a field goal. I had already thought that they had got jobs on a play where Cam Ward tried to throw the ball, then he tried to pull it back, and he fumbles. The Raiders recover it, and then the officials call it an incomplete pass. And I looked at the guys in the press box. I was like, well, that was just a tuck rule. They just tuck ruled him again. And it was funny, Ryan Hogue, former Raiders wide receiver, sitting next to me in the press box, and we're about to bet $20 on the outcome of the replay. He's like, oh, no, it's an incomplete pass. I was like, no, it was a fumble. He literally tried to hold it. He tried to pull it back, stop it, and the ball came out. To me, that's a fumble. And so, anyway, as we all know, it was called an incomplete pass. And then 2 plays later, Cam Ward throws the interception to Devin White, and all I did is look at Ryan and say, ball don't lie. Right? Like we used to do when we played basketball, ball don't lie. Right? You shoot it from the top of the free throw line, or top of the free throw line to the top of the key, right? Ball, you don't make the bucket. All right, ball don't lie. Whatever the case may be, that's all I could think of. But again, the defense came up with some really big plays, made life miserable on Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans, and again, came away with the victory. But Geno Smith, 17 for 23, 174 yards, a touchdown, an interception. Only one completion was longer than 10 yards, and he was sacked twice. Genty, 23 carries, 75 yards, a touchdown, couple catches for 11 yards. He had 25 touches. Remember, that was one of the keys of the game. I was like, hey, man, feed Genty. Get him really involved. I like the fact that he was running the ball towards the end of the game. The last drive that the Raiders had the ball, Raheem Mostert was in there. But love the fact that Genty had 23 carries and also a couple catches as well. Special teams did a much better job, especially in the kick return game. Alex Bachman, who was on the active roster, 3 punt returns, 47 yards, and a long at 25. Dylan Lobby, 2 kick returns, 57 yards, 29 was his long, and really good kick coverage. Right, the Tennessee Titans had a really dangerous kick return guy that you never heard his name called. And when I say you didn't hear his name called, I mean he was active, he was playing, he was involved in kick return, but he was never any big plays. So they were able to do that. But the funny thing is, when you look at this game, and again, it's a 20-10 victory, you'll take a victory. When you're 1-4 and you're on a 4-game losing streak, you'll take a victory any way you can get it. But someone asked me before we went in the locker room, what do you think of the victory? And I said, man, I don't believe in bad wins. But that was probably a bad win. If there's ever such thing as a bad win, that was probably it. Just because any other team, that the Raiders are playing, their offense is gonna have to be a lot better, or they're not gonna be able to win that game. The Tennessee Titans just showed how bad they really are. Like, we all knew Tennessee was bad, and we know that they barely beat the Cardinals last week, but they are really bad. And Cam Ward's got a long way to go before he's really the franchise quarterback and establishes himself as a franchise quarterback. So they're not very good. Their head coach, Brian Callahan, son of Bill Callahan, who's the offensive line coach, is probably going to get fired sooner rather than later. But the Raiders got the dub. Now, the thing about it is, when I said it was probably as close to a bad win as possible, if there is such thing, and again, I don't believe in bad wins, so a win is a win. You take them any way you can get them. When I got into the locker room, and when we talked to guys like Jamal Adams, when we talked to guys like Devin White, when we talked to guys like Landon Roberts, like, they really put it in perspective how important that win was, how they were all still really together as a team, and how a lot of the things that they've been practicing, it actually all came together. Complementary football. Hey, the offense isn't playing very well. We get it. Let's pick them up. Let's get the ball. And just it was funny to hear. Not funny, that's the wrong word. But it was good to hear how these guys are all in lockstep with each other. And there's, rumors and social media, they're having a players-only meeting, and Max Crosby led that Max said that was BS. Landon Roberts said that was BS. None of that ever happened. So a lot of people hit me up, Q, is this true? And I said, I don't know, but we'll ask in the locker room. And they said that's not true at all. We are all together. But despite Jermaine Pratt being released, they are all together as a team, as a unit, and they understand what they need to do. They all still believe in Geno Smith as the quarterback. They all believe in the defense. They all believe in Patrick Graham. Like, that's what was good about being in the locker room and hearing from these guys. And the conversations we had were so long. You'll hear a little bit of one coming up in segment number 2 as I hand out a game ball. But, man, it was just really good to hear how important that win was for them and how they needed to. And I say it all the time when it comes to anything, and you're not having success. Sometimes you just need to see the ball go through the hoop. Regardless if it was the Tennessee Titans or the Kansas City Chiefs or whoever the team was, they just needed to get that win for themselves. So as much as I looked at it and I was like, that wasn't very impressive. I'm not very impressed. To hear the sigh of relief, to hear we needed that. Man, that was big, right? To create some turnovers when turnovers is something that they don't create, right? To get some sacks when it's been struggled to get pressure, to be able to be good on special teams when they're not very good on special teams, right? To be able to have phases of the game where they actually looked really good and were able to do what they wanted to and execute. And again, obviously the Tennessee Titans not being a very good team has something to do with it, but I don't really care about who it was, right? And again, being in the locker room put it in this perspective for me. I didn't think this way until I got into the locker room and talked to the players. But just knowing how much it meant to them and how much that they feel like that they could build on that. And every man to a T that we talked to all said, all right, now don't get too high. It's just one win, not a big deal. We'll come back tomorrow, start working on film because we have a tough team next week in Kansas City. Like, they were already starting to turn the page and focus. So it's not like they're just, flying high and feeling good about a victory of the Tennessee Titans. They just needed to have some success and know that what they were doing is correct. And Pete Carroll has his team. Anyone who says that he's lost the locker room, that's false. I could tell you that. And even that website that's going to write something that I say and not put their name on it, yes, you can report that. I'm reporting that. This locker room is not lost. The Raiders locker room is not lost. The Raiders did not have a players-only meeting led by Max Crosby. Go ahead and print that. Go on and print that, right? Put that out there. I guarantee there'll be a headline coming up in a little while from a website that don't put no names on their end of things, just our names. Yeah, if you're going to report something, report that. So that to me was really telling, and just it was really like refreshing to hear them have that kind of feel. And again, it kind of puts into perspective how difficult it is to win in the National Football League. And, Landon Roberts, we had probably like an 8 or 9 minute conversation with him, and he was just being so real about the fact that, man, this play here, we did that. We didn't execute it correctly, and that's why this result happened. Like, they really were breaking it down. The linebacking core is really fun to talk to because they really help put everything in perspective. But as much as you might look at the win, and I was not impressed because it was just the Tennessee Titans, and they didn't blow them out. It was only 20-10, and, the offense struggled. I really had a different perspective on this game after I went into the locker room following the game. Matter of fact, you'll hear a little bit from the Raiders locker room coming up in segment number 2 as we hand out some game balls, and I give my explanation and breakdown on why we handed them out. We'll do that in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple great sponsors here on the show, and the first one is Mizzen and Main. You know the saying, look good, feel good. The problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp, but they feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's where Mizzen and Main comes in. Mizzen and Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and, well, they've perfected it ever since. Their shirts are stretchy, moisture wicking, wrinkle resistant, and machine washable, so there's no ironing, no dry cleaning, which who doesn't like that? Not having to do any of that? That's awesome. You can go from office to dinner. You can go out on the golf course, and you can be comfortable all day long. It's the feel of athletic wear, but the look of professional menswear. Right now, Mizzen and Main is offering all listeners of the Locked On Raiders podcast 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL20, number 20. That's Mizzen, spelled Mizzen, and Main, MAIN.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL20, 20 at the end for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Main stores in select states. I also want to tell you about Mazda. Mazda moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, I got to say, is Devin White's sack and fumble, and not fumble, but strip sack that he had on Cam Ward and gave the Raiders the ball first and goal from the 2-yard line. That was a huge play that basically gifted the Raiders a touchdown, their first touchdown of the game. They clearly needed it, right? They were struggling offensively, so that was big. And then right before the half, Devin White also coming up with a big play, coming up with the interception that stopped the Titans from scoring anything. And, oh, by the way, the Raiders were getting the ball coming out of the locker room as well. So that was a big swing, and then they go on a nice drive and score again. So Devin White, really helped be responsible for taking points off the board for Tennessee and helping put points on the board for the Raiders. So that basically is continuing to move the game forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Only for the second time this year, I get to hand out some game balls, right? Because the Raiders got a victory 20-10 over the Tennessee Titans. And, well, somebody's got to get a game ball. Don't give out game balls when the Raiders lose. Even if someone has a monster performance, still can't give out a game ball, right? I mean, now if there's always, we're going to show them love. We're going to give them, their props and everything. But, you can't get a game ball for losing the game. So when I was thinking about who to give the game ball to, I'm thinking like, all right, well, Ashton Genty on offense, 23 carries, career high, 75 yards, 2 catches, 11 yards. He had a touchdown as well. That was good for the offense. Like, he helped, even though the offense was really struggling all throughout the game. Alex Bachman, he was a guy that I thought about giving a game ball to. 3 punt returns, 47 yards, and a long of 25 yards. There was a few different guys. Max had a couple sacks. He was pretty much busy all day long flying around the field, right? The defense was really sideline to sideline. Thought a lot of guys did really well. And I wanted to hand out a game ball for each each group, offense, defense, and special teams. And then I decided, you know what? I'm just going to hand out one game ball, and I'll let Raider Nation hand out any other ones that they feel fit to at 707-654-4693. Obviously, that's the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line. We'll actually hear from you coming up in segment number 3. But then I decided that I'm just going to hand out one. And I basically have already sung this guy's praises a couple times, but I got to go back to Devin White. Sacked the quarterback, forced a fumble, Raiders recover, 1st and goal from the 2. And then had the interception before the half to not allow the Titans any points. And this is coming from a guy that had been struggling. Right, the last couple of weeks, Devin White had been struggling. Right, the Raiders lose Jermaine Pratt, and what do? They have a guy in Devin White, another veteran, another guy who's an alpha dog, step up and make some big plays. Right, I thought the whole linebacking core did a really good job for the Raiders to be able to create a couple turnovers. That was big for them to get to the quarterback and sack Cam Ward 6 times. That was a big deal. Right? I mean, it's just something that they hadn't been doing. And Patrick Graham, he got mad last week when I asked him about the turnovers and the fact that they're not creating turnovers. He said, I'm tired of talking about it. They just need to go do it. And that's what they did, led by Devin White on Sunday. So I'm just going to hand out one game ball. I'm going to hand it to Devin White, and I want you to actually hear not the whole conversation we had with him because it was over 6 minutes long. And, we obviously only have a certain amount of time here on the Locked On Raiders podcast. But we talked to so many guys, Jonah Laulu, Michael Mayer, Max Crosby, Ashton Genty, Landon Roberts, Jamal Adams, and Devin White. So I just clipped a little bit, just a couple questions that I asked Devin White about the needing the win, what it meant for the team. And, again, going back to what I said in segment number 1 about how big this was for the players, just to see a little bit of success, just to see the ball go through the hoop, right? That's what they need. It's like getting to the free throw line. If you're struggling, get to the free throw line, see the ball go through the hoop, and maybe that can help get your shot back on. But here's just a couple quick minutes with Devin White in the Raiders locker room following the game on Sunday.
What does a win like this mean for you and the team in general?
For us, it's just something to build on. It's easy to make corrections when you win because we know we didn't play a full, complete game. And going into this week, we already know who's on the schedule and we ready to go get after them. And they haven't been playing their best ball this year either. So it's like, hey, who can be more locked in, more focused? So it's easy to build off a win going into it next week. So we ready. But, man, we just thankful to get the win. That was a great team. Obviously, you see they defense was playing really good. Their offense was trying to establish a run game, but that's credit to our guys up front for shutting them down. And they got a couple big plays on us. And, man, we stayed with it, though. We never bent. We never bent. We never broke. Even right before the half, we get the pick. So they get no field goal. And stuff like that, just stay with it. But that's a credit to our D-line, never thinking we was out of it, never just thinking, settle for the field goal. They was going to get the ball, and it paid off.
Patrick Graham was talking about turnovers, and he was getting frustrated because he's like, we've been talking about it, but we haven't been creating them. So Is that kind of a payoff now?
Yeah, I feel like it's more to go. I feel like we left some out there. I feel like I said, when we play complementary football, we can take our chances, but that starts with just owning the front. Start with owning the front, and then the back end playing complementary football with the front end. And we did that today. Everybody was in a huddle, making sure we was communicating and all on the same page, and just we talked about. I think last week they went 6 for 8 on third down or something, or 8 for 10, and we had to get that off the tape because we have been pretty good at third down and red zone defense. So we wanted to get back to who we were, and don't know why the ball went rolling left last week, but we had to get that taste out of our mouth.
So, again, you could just hear from Devin White, and you can hear in his voice how much that was a big deal. He was asked questions about him as an individual, but to me, it wasn't about the individual. It was more about the team coming together, playing like a team and playing like a unit and helping the other side of the ball out. All right, the offense is struggling. So that means the defense has to do everything they can in their ability to make some plays, and they did. Devin White getting the ball, stripping the ball, and having Cam Ward fumble on the 2. That's huge. Again, that just about gifted the Raiders with a touchdown. Him taking points off the board by getting an interception and actually completing the play. A lot of people say, yeah, but the ball kind of just floated, and that's an easy interception. Yeah, those easy interceptions for the Raiders always fall to the ground. So that's why I really just want to kind of point out hand him the game ball, take you behind the scenes a little bit. He actually walked out of the locker room after we talked to him with a game ball in his hand. So the Raiders as a team obviously agreed that he got a game ball. I'll say this, a side note. How about A.J. Cole? A.J. Cole, a guy that I didn't think was going to even play. And, he averaged, he had, a couple punts that he had to do. He averaged about 41 yards. But to be out there, you want to talk about a tough dude. That guy's ankle was so swole after the Colts game. Like anyone who was in the locker room there in Indianapolis all told me, man, that ankle was really swole. No one expected him to play on Sunday. And then Friday afternoon, Pete Carroll says, well, he practiced, he kicked, he looked pretty good. I expect him to play. And for him to go out there and play, he did a heck of a job. I saw him with my own eyes in the locker room following the game on Sunday. Ankle was still a little bit swollen, but he had a big smile on his face. He said, I'm good. So that toughness right there, again, I'm not handing him a game ball for it, but I did just want to acknowledge that that's big for him to even be out there. Because I thought for sure that they were going to have to bring their punter up from the practice squad onto the active roster to punt on Sunday. But instead, A.J. Cole was there. And the other thing about that is A.J. Cole is the holder, right? And so to be able to have that same unit, that same battery when it comes to, the long snapper, the holder, the kicker, obviously, right? You don't want to mess up that operation. You mess up that operation, bad things happen. And guess what? The Raiders special teams unit was already on the struggle bus, so they didn't need to have any disruption in any of the battery that they have there. So to see A.J. Cole out there, I thought that was a big deal and a tip of the cap to him. I mentioned Alex Bachman. He really did everything he could. I got to give Dylan Lobby credit too. Him and Bachman, man, they did everything they could to try to put the Raiders in his best field position as possible on kick returns and punt returns. But Bachman, he's just that dude, man. He's one of those guys that I look at as a true Pete Carroll type dude, just a guy who's going to go work hard, right? He's not going to be braggadocious. He's just going to go out there, bust his backside, give you everything he's got. Pete Carroll, compete. Yeah, that's him. So that's why I thought about him for a game ball as well. Ashton Genty, he was the most consistent part of the offense. And even, at times he struggled as well, but still had 23 carries and a couple catches as well and got in the end zone. So I got to give him props. I just don't know if that was like a game ball worthy type performance. You know what I mean? Again, when you look at the offense and the way that it was and the fact that Geno Smith only completed one pass that was longer than 10 yards, the offense wasn't the highlight, right? It was nice to see Big Mike back. He had, 5 catches. Jacoby had 4. Trey Tucker, again, got involved. Geno Smith's one of his go-to guys, Trey Tucker. So it was good to see all these guys evolve and be involved in the offense. But nothing really stood out where it's like, man, that was a game changer. There was, one big play that Trey Tucker broke a tackle and got down the sideline. That was, one big play offensively for the Raiders all day. So you could just tell that it wasn't that good. But the good thing is it didn't have to be because the defense had their back. And again, I go back to what I said in segment number 1. That was really, really big. So let me know who you think should get a game ball. I'm giving it to Devin White, and I'm just giving it to Devin White only. But let me know. 707-654-4693. It's the Locked On Raider Podcast voicemail line. We'll close out the show hearing from you. We'll do that next. Before I get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple more sponsors here on the show. And the first one is Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery, and that's a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every single detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping, dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHNFL5. That's SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. Supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. I also want to tell you about FanDuel. The NFL season, it's here, locked and loaded, 6 weeks basically in the books. FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers could bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can do player props bets, you can build parlays, you can do live lines during the games. Whatever your little heart desires, they got you covered. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience that much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts, draft that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Before we get into any calls, I want to give big ups to all of Raider Nation. Man, I met so many people that listen to this show on the daily, at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday, incredible. Like, I can't even remember everybody that I talked to, just because I talked to so many people and shook so many hands and heard so many stories of when you listen to the show, why you listen to the show, how you discover the show, how long you've been rocking with the show. Like, so many, like John Train in the ATL. I've been rocking with my guy for like over 8 years, and I finally got to meet him in person. It was awesome. He just walked up. He's like, John Train. I was like, oh, John Train in the ATL. Like, it's awesome, right? And just being able to meet so many, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but there's just so many. But one stood out to me in particular, and it's so funny. It's the story that stands out to me about listening to the show, listening to the podcast on his daily walk with his dog in the morning. And I started talking about Dr. Jen and Dr. Andy, how they walk and they listen to the show, and their dog actually knows me. And so my man said that his dog probably knows me because he's always listening to the show while he's walking his dog. So his dog's name is Winston. So shout out to my dog. Shout out to my dog. I don't have any pets, but shout out to my dog Winston. So I just thought that was awesome. And again, Raider Nation, you have no idea how much it means to me to be able to meet you and shake your hand. And like I said, thank you for listening to the show and just kind of chop it up. And I'm glad everybody that was there at Allegiant Stadium got rewarded with at least a W, because, well, Raider Nation, you deserve it. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First call we'll take from Raider X. He's calling to talk about the win on Sunday and talks about some things that he thinks the Raiders need to clean up. Here he is, Raider X.
Yo, Q, this is Raider X. After a W, a win is a win. However, there's things that the Raiders need to desperately improve. First of all, the Titans are not a good team, and still there was some issues. I think the Raiders could have done a lot better on the overall performance and a lot sharper. Most definitely, the offensive line is still the issue. It just seems that there's the communication. I like that, they try hard. It looks like they're overall improving. However, I think teams are now exploiting stunts and the lack of communication. The Raiders line just cannot defend stunts, and you're seeing people just coming through. And Geno Smith already looks unstable, doesn't look confident, doesn't look like he has a command. And on top of that, when they don't give him time, looks really bad. No true throws beyond 10 yards. And when he does, almost seems like he's looking for double coverage. He throws into double coverage. Once in a while, there's just nice plays and good schemes. Looks like some guys are really getting open. I think that he's playing to the strengths of the tight ends. But that's the biggest issue. Really impressed by the overall, tenacity and just the overall will that the defense and pride that they're putting out there. Like I said again, I just wish that, they had a little bit more sound lanes and things like that. But it is exciting. I'm excited to see a little bit more influx because obviously this is not going to be a playoff team. So I like to see a little bit more offense inserted in here, a little more offensive rookies put in there. Let's see what we got. Let's see what's out there, and let's make sure that we grow it for next season, because I like to see some growth, I like to see some more wins, and I like to see some competitive play, compete. Raider X out.
X-Man, thanks for the call. Appreciate you. And yeah, plenty of room for improvement, right? But it's good to be able to pick up a win and have stuff to clean up, as opposed to all of a sudden you're on a 5-game losing streak. Like, that win was so important on Sunday. If you lose that game to the Titans, you're 1-5. You go to Kansas City, who beat Detroit on Sunday Night Football. You probably take that L, right? You're 1-6 and you're going into your bye. You're on a 6-game losing streak in your bye. All you're going to hear, we already heard the rumors about the player-only meeting and this, that, and the other, and you already see, rumors, this team is trying to go and trade for this guy, that guy. Could you imagine you're on a 6-game losing streak, how much massive and how much more magnified those rumors and those conversations would be? And again, the players-only meeting was false. That did not happen. I just want to keep reiterating that. That was BS. Max's words, not mine. So, take it for what it's worth. But they needed that. And then don't forget the trade deadline is November 4th. So you could kind of look at the calendar and see how everything shakes out. But the Raiders just needed that win for so many different reasons. Obviously, there's so much to still clean up. Offensive line needs a lot of work. Geno still needs a lot of work through another interception, a bad interception. Shouldn't have done it. Wide receivers, running backs, play calling, everything needs to be better. But it's A lot easier to try to clean up stuff off of a win than try to clean stuff up off of a loss. So thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate it. Just got time for a couple more. This text is from Renee. Renee from around the way says, I got 3 game balls I want to give out. One for the defense. They played lights out. I wanted the score to be 20-3. The second game ball goes to Devin White. He balled out today. And the first game ball goes to Big Mike. He also balled out. When the Raiders are in the red zone, give it to Big Mike or Brock if we can't run it in. Geno played a good game other than the interception. Even the announcer said he should have taken the sack or thrown the ball away instead of throwing it like he did. Thanks, Q, and I'll text back later this week. That's Renee from around the way, throwing out the game balls, 3 of those game balls, right? So the defense, Devin White particularly, just like I did, and then Big Mike. That's cool. Big Mike played a, really good game. It was great to see him back, and it's funny, man, he catches that one pass in the middle of the field, turns around, there's nobody around him. I bet you he thought he was getting pranked. Like, am I serious? Like, he looked to the side and looked, there ain't nobody around. I'm just going to shoot right up the middle of the field, and he absolutely did do that. So thanks so much, Renee. Definitely appreciate that. YB Stevie in the 5 and dime. He's calling to talk about the win, but has plenty of concerns following it. Here he is, YB Stevie.
What's up, Q? This is YB Stevie from the 510. Hey, I'm just calling. Disclaimer first. I want to say super happy about our special teams and defense, how we stood up today. But I am extremely concerned about the Raiders offense after this win. I mean, it looked like the play calling today and the game script was centered around a rookie quarterback. All of Geno's throws, most of them were behind the sticks. He was looking at all his first reads. I think he only had a handful where he went to his second reads. I mean, if it wasn't for the refs or our defense, I mean, I don't know if we would have scored 2 touchdowns. And this is a Titans team that's probably the worst team in the NFL. We should have dog walked them. And, I mean, I hate to say it, I just don't know if we'll win many more games, maybe one more this season, but this offense is absolutely terrible. I mean, I just don't know how else to say it. Anyways, Q, love what you do. I wish I'd be more optimistic, but I'm just trying to be realistic. 20 points up against the Titans, worst team in the league, unacceptable, especially given the, circumstances I said. But love your show. Hope you have a good one. Peace.
Stevie, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Yeah, the Titans aren't good. You're correct, right? They showed how bad they are on Sunday. The Raiders defense was nice, right? Offense, not so much. And that was great. I was glad to see at least the defense. Hey, man, if the offense isn't cooking, we got your back. We got your back. We can, we can settle you down. And that's what I could appreciate about a really good defense. And I'm not saying the Raiders defense is really good to that level right now, but if you have a really good defense, you don't have to panic if the offense isn't clicking, right? Because the defense is going to keep you in the games. Now, at some point, you have to do your job too, and you have to find a way to score. They can't do everything. Complimentary football, it's all you're going to hear from all the players. All the players that we talk to in the locker room, all complimentary football. It's what they're going to say. But you don't have to, go out there offensively if you're Geno Smith and try to force everything and try to come up with all these huge, big plays because the defense keeps giving you an opportunity. So that's the good thing. That's what I can appreciate. But that offense is going to have to be a lot better if they're going to win next week in Arrowhead. I'll tell you that right now. So thanks so much for that call. Do appreciate you. Text from Miller Raider. What's up, Q? Just got done watching the game. What a day for the defense. You had a caller on Friday's show saying this was Patrick Graham's special, and 9 times out of 10 that happens. Glad to see it didn't this week. This is what happens when we win the turnover battle. Devin White had himself a day with the trifecta, multiple sacks by the defensive line. It shows when Max helps us, the defense is a problem. Offense is still a work in progress, but if they can find a way to get some help and stay on schedule and not turn the ball over, then we're making progress. Special teams looked a lot better. It's a great team win. Let's keep it going together against the Chief. Let's go. Miller Raider out. And I think that sums it up perfectly. There's not really too much more I have to say about that. I think that you had a great job, and that was PE in North Carolina who said this was a Patrick Graham special and this game is on him. And, well, his unit stepped up in a major way. We'll close things out with a call from Raider Tyrone from Clarksville, calling to talk about the win and the fact that he's, very underwhelmed by it. And he explains why here. Here is Raider Tyrone.
Hey, Q, what's up, Ari? Hey, thanks for all you do, Q. Just finished watching the game, and, it's a win, I guess, but it was ugly. Oh, jeez. And the winners of the Toilet Bowl. The Raiders beat the Titans 20-10. Geno Smith can't be trusted with the ball. His decision making is absolutely horrible. That interception should not have been thrown. He should have ate it, took the sack. We could have got 3 points. Instead, they marched down the field. But I don't know. I really don't know. That wasn't satisfying at all. That should have been a beatdown. And I'm looking forward to hearing Geno Smith, come up with an excuse as to why he threw the interception. Something's got to be done. Something really has to be done. And this cover 3 defense that we run, it's got to go away because Polamalu is just getting toasted out there. I know his confidence has got to be in the basement. But anyways, hey, win's a win, I guess. But take it easy, and Raider Tyrone from Clarksville out.
You better call Tyrone. Shout out to you, Raider Tyrone. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. And it was underwhelming. Like I said in segment 1, I wasn't impressed. I said I don't believe in bad wins, but that was probably the closest thing to a bad win until I talked to the players in the locker room. I really want to get some of this sound from the locker room. I want you to be able to hear the whole thing. I just didn't have enough time for today's show. So we'll try to sprinkle some in the next couple days before we hit crossover Thursday. I would love to hear, and maybe I'll just grab a couple chunks, like 2-3 minutes here and there, but definitely want you to hear from E-Rob. I think Jamal Adams was fantastic as well. Those linebackers were great. So I'll definitely get that in to the show in the next couple days just so you can hear it and you'll understand how big that win really was for those players in the locker room. So thanks so much for that call. Definitely appreciate you. That's going to do it for today's show. We'll talk to Pete Carroll around 11 o'clock this morning over at the facility. We got the Raider Squad show this morning with Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, me and Lincoln, Big Lincoln. We're supposed to be sitting right here next to each other, so that'll be fun. We'll do that as well. That's 7:30 to 8:30, 1 hour long, 1 hour strong, so that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll keep the party rolling as the Raiders do pick up the victory 20-10 over the Tennessee Titans and are now 2-4 on the young season. So until tomorrow, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.